At the start of our inter-regional debates, we promised you nothing but the very best, and we are delivering. From Machakos County, our journey took us to Nyeri County next, where we simply had our minds blown, that is to say the least. And now we bring you the Central Region inter-regional debates of the Great Debaters Contest. Welcome to the show. I am your host, Mariam Bishar. Central Region began with a bang, with Bishop Katimu girls facing off with Kagumo boys. The emotion was simple: celebrities should not be made role models. Let's see how these schools handled it.
Lately, in the recent times, African celebrities are changing their nationalities, mostly to be people of the European and American descent. This shows us who are looking up to them that Africa is not a place to develop. Africa is not a place to grow. And that is why you find the people who go for further studies abroad are changing their nationalities, because they have been told that the African celebrities are depicting that Africa is not a place to grow.
The opposition's assault was led by very sharp remarks from the lovely gentleman Eric Gwantai of Kagumo Boys.
African celebrities are in the forefront of promoting African cultures. We have trends like Ankara clothing and animal print. These are African wears that have really seen it in Hollywood and other places because of their culture, because of what we see, because of what the celebrities show the rest of the world, because they are our voice.
The rebuttals began with Grace Washanga from Bishop Gatimu Girls, who was very quick to state that these days, local celebrities simply have no originality left in them.
These African celebrities, instead of being original, instead of making Africans have a feeling of confidence in their continent, are rather stimulating their inferiority from the Western side. Look at an African music video. Watch an African movie. What is it that you see? Do you see Africans being original? Or do you see Africans trying to be like the Western side?
The next debater could easily be said to have been the star of the day. From Kagumo Boys was John Wangia, who told us to sieve the bad and take the good from our local celebrities.
For once, let us stop focusing and measuring on the minor. Until when will we keep on singing that these African celebrities are always on the wrong side? Don't we ever see the good side of these people? These people too have got souls and they have got hearts, and their hearts still love do bad things and good things. For once, let us stop looking at the bad and the negative side of these people, but instead consider the good things that they give us. We act like thieves. We take the good things and let them go into our hearts, and as for the bad things, we put them off us and ensure that they stay away from our hearts as the good things stick to us.
As usual, the closing arguments are all about intellect, and Cassandra Kimi of Bishop Gatimu Girls left us with a lot to think about as we wound down the debate.
We see celebrities who are not leading us in the right way. Celebrities who are using obscene language, who are posing nude photos. Celebrities who go ahead to talk about each other badly. Celebrities who use drugs. Really, even if we are on the side of opposing, even if we want to take them as our role models, would we want to take such traits with us?
Kenneth Wahome of the opposition gave us their closing statements, and he said all we have to do is open our eyes to see the role models in our society.
We should know that at any given time, charity will always begin at home. It is therefore only justice for us to take our African celebrities as role models. We should not go searching for role models from other people, whereas we have our very own celebrities. We should also know that we have celebrities taking us in the right direction.
African celebrities. I guess that was a new term that came to us on the judges' table, because when we look at the motion, it read celebrities should not be role models. But all of you decided to include the Africanness on that, which is fine. We decided to judge you on that as well. So it was a fair game. It was a fair play. Quick pointers now. I did not hear examples of such, if any, from Charlene as you were giving your points. Good mastery of language and passion and conviction. However, we are looking at the points and trying to cross-examine what exactly are you giving us. So it's not just about talking and coming on stage. We're also looking at the examples you give and any indicators of what they have done or not done. Grace, great use of poses, facial expressions. I like that. You connect well with the audience. You're very confident. Your cross-examination and additional points was well used as well. And you have passion and conviction. Also, your use of analogies is commendable. Ikemi, you're confident, but we expect you to give examples, not just leave us guessing. And you left, I guess, with more minutes waiting to be utilized.
An interesting debate, but I think when you're given such a motion to debate, you need to define certain terminologies. And I think part of the problem that we had, even you up there, is that you didn't start off by defining who a celebrity is. A person with a prominent profile who is able to command some degree of public fascination and influence. Now, once you have defined it that way, then you ask yourself, then why would this person then be considered or be viewed as a role model in society? Now, once you have that, then it's easy for you to point out examples of celebrities and their contribution or lack of it thereof, so that then you're able to debate with some substance.
There can only be one winner, and for today, that winner is Kagumo Boys. The judges gave them 71%, as opposed to BG Gandu girls who had 67. That's not to say the ladies didn't put up a good debate. They did their best, and we hope the experience they've gained here helps them in the future. Give both teams a hand. Next on, to discuss the very sensitive issue of media freedom, was Kahuya girls and Mugoiri girls. Who better else to do it than these very capable ladies? Let's see what they've got. The proposition was not afraid to dive into the debate with all they've got. The lovely Diane Esther gave us probably the most interesting analogy of the day. A journalist with a pen is like a monkey with a loaded weapon.
Media is the main way through which information is received by people. Taming suggests that something has been wild and it needs to be brought under control. Legislation, on the other hand, is a law that is put in order to regulate. In the words of a candid man, a journalist with a pen or a microphone is like a monkey with a loaded gun. And that can harm anybody and everybody, including self.
She was quickly followed by Agnes Washira, who was very clear in her argument. The truth must be told and no compromises should be made.
Let's understand what is self-censoring. Self-censoring usually occurs when the media has the news, then they come and they analyze it, and then they have to remove some of this information. And this is actually hiding the truth from the people. Right there. What are they trying to hide? They are hiding the truth from the people. We need to hear the truth as it is from the media.
If you thought you've seen intellect in this debate, well, you hadn't seen Nemandetti yet. She was quick to point out that responsible media needs to be tamed through legislation. Let's hear what she has to say.
Media freedom must be tamed through legislation. First things first, let's not confuse ourselves here. We're talking about taming and legislation, not censorship. As well, it is true that the government and the constitution states that the media shall not be penalized for opinion. That is why we are standing to ensure that there is a law that regulates what opinion they're giving us.
Media is what informs our society. Without it, we are simply walking blind. That was Sarah Barongo's argument from Mugweri Girls.
Why is it that the government wants to tame the media freedom? Have you asked yourself that question? Who on earth will ever want to live in darkness? Who on earth will ever want to live in darkness? Of course, no one will ever want to live in darkness. It's just the same way. We want to know what goes on. And if it's not for the media, then what will help us to know us? What will help us know what is going on?
Our first closing statement was from Shelmith Wanga of the proposing team. She was quick to state very simply, we don't want to gag the media, we want to tame them.
We are not gagging the media, we are taming them. They should be pointed out, those who go against the bylaws. And how can they be pointed out? By placing a law that disciplines them so that they cannot continue doing their cons that are forcing them to be pointed out.
In case you're wondering who wound up this debate, it was Grace Kinyua of the opposing team who was quick to state that we as the public need to be given the freedom to choose what we want as content in the media.
The problem with freedom of expression, people are able to interpret it as they please. If I want something to be in my way, then I'll simply interpret it that way. If you want it to be in your favor, then the same. So therefore, it is the public's accord to decide what you want to get from what they're presenting. On the post-election violence, this is news that is happening in our country. If any of you are affected, I'd like to ask you, would you have rather been shown by the media what is going on in certain places of the country, or wait until you see death announcements on the newspapers?
I will start with, that's Mogweri, absolutely. Agnes? Yes, Agnes, you're very passionate. You're very passionate and you started very much passion. However, you took time to cross-examine instead of giving out your straight points. And so you used half your time cross-examining the team. And because of that, even if you're very passionate, we had to look at that and penalize that. Sarah, good cross-examination when you came on board. However, you have a lot of repetition in your words and you kept saying that we as the Kenyans. Can you just refer to Kenyans as we as Kenyans, all right? Grace Kinyua, good mastery of language and very confident. In fact, I was wondering where you were. And this is something we have addressed to all the teams on board, that when you arrange yourself, your arrangement may as well earn you greater points when you start with a bang. So you came in very strong, very passionate, very articulate, but quite late.
Each of the teams need to improve. Very good teamwork, an interesting debate, evidence of research having been done by the two teams. The question is that I was hoping to hear is whether self-regulation then would be sufficient, and especially for the opposing side. If we are saying that, we don't want legislation, then would self-regulation be the way to go? And I was hoping that you would, strongly defend self-regulation as an alternative to legislation. But very good work. I was entertained. I enjoyed myself. All the best.
The voice of logic, according to the judges, says that Kahuhia girls have 77%. Give them a hand. I think that's the highest score we've seen today. That makes them the victors because Mugweri girls have 71. We now take a short commercial break, but when we return, we discuss talent and family planning. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the Great Debaters Contest Season 3. This is our Nyeri County edition, and things are just getting heated up with Kiaguthu boys facing off with Monica Munyaka girls. The motion, talent is more important than formal schooling in today's world. The gentleman started us off with Nathaniel Muigai stating that in today's job market, talent is of way more importance than formal education. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Formal schools dwell on giving students formal education, which leads to formal jobs. Formal jobs, a good example is office work. Now, on the other hand, talents are based on something else. Talents themselves are based on making employment, which is a passion within you. Talents have a larger market. In what terms, you ask? Talent in Kenya right now, we have a large market of entertainment being based on talents.
Next followed the lovely lady Nancy Nasserian, who was quick to show us why education outweighs talent in marketability.
I would like you to see this formal education as part of you. This is a way of developing Africa as a continent. We are in another generation, a digitalized generation, which needs people who are more educated. Thank you.
If you're thinking of humor, intellect, and passion all tied up in one bow, then the debater you're thinking of is Martin Chege, and this is what he had to say.
Talent development exploits talent to the full potential. I want us to agree together, House. I want us to be together in this. There are people who are seated here who have great talents in them. There are people who are seated here who are great singers, who are great actors, who are great people. But simply because you are in a formal school, your talent has not been encouraged. Maybe you're not doing well in your academics. You've gotten too many D's. You're being called the class defender. I want to tell you, if your talent is developed, you are great.
The rebuttal from Sarah Hassan was very well thought out. She stated that it's hard to discover a talent, but education is a way safer option. Let's listen to her.
We should first think about formal education. We should always think about our future, what will come before, what we are thinking about. You should not first think about the talent. There are many others. If you check in this room, a lot of you, they don't know whether they have any talent in them. As you know, talent is an inborn ability. Most of us do not know whether they have that talent in them.
The gentleman's closing statement was very concise. Gabriel Kanja says, use what God gave you and make no apologies for it.
Don't you think it will be unfair for you not to utilize that which God gave you? Myself, I do not feel obliged to believe that the same God who has endowed us with sense, reason, and above all talent has intended us to forego their use.
To wind up the debate was the lovely Yasmin Hassan, who stated that formal education is the foundation of not only our homes but of our nation.
In every house, there's always the foundation. This foundation is constructed by the formal education that we get from schools. The country is facing a lot of economical strains, and it is not time to go and start. Can we start developing our talents, or are we starting to develop our country?
Talent development is more significant than formal schooling. And I'll start with St. Monica Munyaka girls. The first question I expected you to ask, which you never asked, and I think I'm disappointed because of that question. I think you should have asked Kiaguthu boys, why are they in uniform supporting a formal school if they are for talents? I was expecting that would have been a very tough question for them, and you missed the opportunity. However, let me start with St. Monica, and I would say this, that Nancy, yes, you did well, you're very confident, you came and addressed the audience, and you gave out your points. However, your style and presentation was very monotonous.
Martin Chege, a good debate, interesting rebuttal, and I'm hoping that you have an opportunity to nurture your talent as a public speaker within the school. You're a great public speaker and you're a crowd puller, so good job done. But don't get lost, you got carried away. At some point I asked Maina, is he preaching? So yeah. Gabriel Kanja, again, good examples. I loved the use of statistics, and as a debater you want numbers have a way of making people believe you, even when they do not have time to make sure that your calculations are correct, so you won our hearts with that.
St. Mary's Munyaka girls got 66% from the judges, and Kiaguthu boys got 75%. Our final thought-provoking debate came from Mary Immaculate girls facing off with Moi Equator girls. They were discussing family planning. Should the government enforce and legislate it? Let's see if they answer this age-old question.
On to my first point. Population growth. Research shows that Congo's population is 86 million, and the rate of poverty in that country is 7.1%. This makes that country one of the poorest countries in the world. Therefore, if a country is financially unstable, it should not have a surplus population.
The opposition's blow came from Rose Mithamo, who was quick to state that family planning is a private matter and should remain as such.
One thing that I don't understand, does the government has the right to know how many children I want? Maybe in some of our communities, like for example, my community, the number of children that you have determines your wealth. I don't think that it is fair that the government should come into me and say that you should get this number of children.
The lovely lady of the proposing team, Dion Marie, just put it to us simply. Homes and the nation at large cannot progress without family planning being enforced and legislated.
Failure to plan is planning to fail. Women in Kenya today are being empowered in very many ways. We have women who are lawyers, we have women who are doctors, we even have women who are teachers. We see some, as an example, we see our teachers going to the university to specialize further in the field of teaching. How are they able to maintain their families and at the same time pursue their education? This is through the effect of family planning.
A heartfelt rebuttal came from Faith Karuri, who stated that simply the price to pay for family planning being legislated is breaking up our homes.
With family planning, it can lead to marital conflicts. For example, my husband wants 5 children. The government has limited the number of children to 3. This will lead to conflicts because I want 5, you want 3. So we will conflict against each other.
At the end of the day, closing statements is what it all boils down to. Gladys Wanjiko put it to us simply: poverty is a noose around our neck that doesn't allow us the luxury of having large families.
You tend to find that in a family where there are only 2 children, it becomes much easier to raise the children because the parent can be able to afford the resources, can be able to give the love, can be able to provide education. Unlike in those old days, in times of our parents, not all of them got the chance to be in school. It was very difficult. Poverty. If a family is full of poverty and you are more than 5 or even a number that a parent cannot be able to cater for, surely, how are the parents going to manage that family?
Our last closing statement came from Veronica Njeri. Put in her words, it's God's will that we should procreate.
It is against our cultural values. To be specific, Christianity. Our Bible, specifically my Bible, tells me the Lord commanded human beings, go and multiply. He did not specify 2, 3, or 4 children. So it is upon me to decide.
where are the examples of counties where, of countries where this is being enforced, and what are the effects? We have had such in the Western nations, for example. I was expecting to hear some of the examples where it has been done and where it has not been done. Mary Immaculate, Catherine, what is family planning when you come on stage? It's good for you to start over by telling us what that means. Good mastery of language, and you're passionate in your delivery.
The level of debate has been disappointing, and I'll be very candid. Catherine Wamboi starts us off very well, and then we lose it completely until Veronica comes on. So the 4 speakers in between, we could have done away with them, and still had a debate, which is not a good thing. And that means that the 2 schools each have 2 speakers each who did not do justice to the topic or to the motion. I think one of the things that I would really have wanted to hear is, especially for Mary Immaculate Girls that is proposing this motion, there has been a lot of media coverage of China and its one-child policy, and what it has done for China and what it hasn't done for China. What are the advantages of having such a policy? What are the disadvantages of having such a policy? The fact that it violates natural law in itself is something that you could have ridden on as the opposing side, and many of you did not do justice to that.
So the judges have deliberated, and I think it was quite a tough decision for them. They gave Mary Immaculate Girls 61%, and to Moi Equator Girls they gave 61% as well. That means this debate ends in a tie, so they'll get back to us later on what this means, but let's give both teams a hand for the good job.
The winning school will get an ICT chill-out zone with the widescreen TV, computers, webcams, and internet connection. The teacher from the winning school gets 100,000 shillings courtesy of Chase Bank. The winning students each get a tablet courtesy of Safaricom, a gift hamper from Unilever, and a gift hamper from mimi.co.ke. And together they all win the title, The Great Debaters. May the best school win.
Be sure to catch us next week for our final Central Region debates, which promise to be more entertaining and educational. Thus far, I have been your host, Mariam Bishar. Thank you for watching.